Hey everyone, in this video tutorial I'm going to go over how to gesso your stonehenge paper. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to tape off or measure off a 1-inch border on my stonehenge paper. So all of my Ryman students, you guys, you should have gotten your materials. I will go over the materials in class, but this is the stonehenge paper that's here. I have a gridded ruler that's here. I also have our lovely house paintbrush, as well as I have our white gesso. And I also have tape, so our painter's tape. This is all the materials you would definitely need. A simple pencil as well, just to mark off your 1-inch border. So I'm coming in with my graded ruler, and I want to measure off 1 inch. I'm going to keep my pencil fairly light. I don't want to have very dark borders. So you can use a graded ruler, you can use a regular ruler, just anything just to get that 1-inch border down. You definitely want to do that. Alright. So now I have my 1-inch border in. And just make sure my edges. So you might question and ask yourself, why do I need a 1-inch border? The reason why, and not every artist does this, but I do it, and I normally typically want my class to do it as well. Having a 1-inch border just looks clean and professional, and it allows us to kind of pick up our artwork, transport it, because we have somewhere to touch and somewhere to handle. So that's what I like about the 1-inch border. It just keeps it clean, neat. It looks professional, and you can handle your painting without having to touch your actual painting. So once I have that 1-inch border in, I want to take my painter's tape. Yay, painter's tape. And we want to keep our border clean. So I want to tape off as much as that 1-inch border as possible. I do know our tape is a 3/4 tape, so you probably have to double up your tape around your border, which is fine. So as you can see, I'm a bit slow, so it takes me a little time, but in any painting class, it's a lot of prep that actually happens, and you want to give yourself time for that prep ahead of time. So when we're painting on our Stonehenge, we have to prep it ahead of time before we can actually paint on it. Alright, so I have my 1-inch border all taped down. Then what I want to do is I want to open up my house brush for one. And then I want to take my gesso that's here, and I'll open it up. So there's a lot of different things that you can do with gesso. You can water it down about 25%. I don't typically water mine down. I just go in for it. And really with gesso, it's a boundary between the paper and your actual paint. So it's good to have that. Let me get all of my erasing stuff. I also need some water, and I just realized I don't have one. So give me 1 second, and I'll get some water. So now I have my little container of water. I took a little bit of time to go get me some water, so I can use it. So we have our painter brush that's here. I just kind of want to dip it in a little bit of water just to get the brush wet because it's brand new and it's very dry. So I just kind of want to do that. I'm getting off a little bit of the excess paint because I just don't want too much excess water. I don't want too much water in my gesso. So I'm going to dip my painter's house brush into the gesso. Then I'm going to apply it to the paper. If you see any hairs, just get it off. So with gesso, you can have as many layers as you actually want to. And that's probably, if you want layers, you probably want to thin it out just a bit. So I'm going to try and come in, and I'm trying to kind of just flatten out just a bit and smooth out some of this gesso on the paper. I'm also going to cross hatch just a bit. Just trying to smooth it out with the brush. Alright, so I have my paper gessoed. I'm going to allow it to dry. And what you want to do is make sure you clean out your house brush. You don't want that gesso to dry in your brush, because it's not going to be good. It's going to damage your brush. So I'm just going to dip it in some water for right now. And, just try and clean out my brush. I just noticed I dripped a whole bunch of water. Try to sop it all up. Alright guys, so once everything is gessoed, what I'm doing is I'm going in with my brush and I'm going to cross out just a little bit. I want to get almost like a textured surface, almost kind of like fabric or a canvas type surface for the paper. So I'm just cross hatching to get a little bit of a texture there. So I'm going to allow the paper to dry. Once it's dried, a good thing to do, you can always take a blow dryer and blow dry the tape that's around it. That will weaken the tack of the tape. Once it's warm enough and heated up enough, you can peel off the tape without damaging your paper. So as of right now, this is how you gesso your paper. So as soon as it's dry, I'll show you guys what I have, and then we're going to talk about going in and putting gesso on a canvas board. Alright everyone, so my paper that I gessoed is dry, and before we get into our canvas, I just wanted to talk about priming or imprematuring or toning a value 5, which is gray, to your stonehenge paper once it's gessoed. So I have my gesso that's dried right now. I have my value 5, and basically how to get that value 5. This is my palette, which I have a gray palette as well. So you're going to take your white, also your black, excuse the mess. I did a demo earlier, so excuse the mess, but you want to take your white, your black, 50% black, 50% white, mix it together, you will get a value 5. So you want to get that once you have that in your acrylic paint. So remember, that's your acrylic white as well as your black. Mix them 50-50, and then you have your value 5. So now that I have that, I'm just taking a regular old brush and I'm going to brush over with my acrylic paint. And my brush is previously wet, so it's not a dry brush, it's previously wet. So we're gonna go over it, that value 5. So right now we just want to tone it and get a tone for it. Alright guys, so we're gonna allow this to dry, And I want to clean out my brush as well, dipping it in my water. It's here. Don't want to get water anywhere else. Alright, so once you clean out your brush, allow this to dry. As soon as it dry, I will come back and you will see me take off the tape. So I'll see you in the next clip. Alright everyone, so my paper is dry. I went in with that Stonehenge paper. I put white gesso over it. I waited for it to dry, then I turned around and then I put a value 5. I got rid of that white. So I'm about to take the tape off. So a good hint, and I know I talked about this earlier, when you want to get the tape off and you don't want to damage your paper, take a blow dryer. You can put I would say keep it on low. You want to blow dry the edges. So you want to allow the tape to get pretty warm, pretty hot. You can let it cool down just a bit. And if warm isn't enough, then you can take it up a notch. You just don't want to burn your paper. So we're going to take the tape off. So blow drying the tape allows us not to rip our paper. So it basically, the tack of the tape becomes weakened. And what I mean by tack, the stickiness of the tape becomes weakened when you do that. Alright, you guys, so I have my Stonehenge paper. It is gessoed as well as it has a value 5 over it. Normally when I begin painting, I'll retape the edge just to keep it clean and neat. But this is basically what you want. There is some rippling that's happening here. So what I'm going to do, this is why you want to plan and get your prep done ahead of time. I'm going to possibly flip it over where I see some of the the rippling. I'm probably going to flip it over and I'll probably put a napkin down or something, and then I'm going to put heavy books on top of it, and I'm going to allow it to flatten out overnight, and it should be pretty flat by morning. And if you still have a little bit of rippling, that's fine, it's okay, but for right now, I think that's what I'm going to do. So this is what you want to do when you want to prep your canvas as well as prep your Stonehenge paper. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully this helps, and I'll see you guys in class. Alright, bye guys. Alright everyone, in this clip I'm going to show you how to gesso your canvas board. So a canvas board is basically canvas wrapped around either a chipboard or a cardboard, and it's all neat and professionally wrapped. What you're going to feel is the canvas texture, and then on the back you'll feel that cardboard texture as well. So once again, we want to take our gesso that's here. We also want to take our house brush that's here. And you want to dip your brush into the gesso. And you want to gesso your canvas board. So you're probably saying to yourself, Jerry, why am I gessoing a canvas board that's already gessoed? The thing with some of these canvas boards are they do come already pre-gessoed, but There may be 1 or 2 layers of the gesso on the canvas. So we just want to make sure we have enough gesso on our canvas. So we're just getting another layer in. So the thing with your canvas board is you don't have to have that 1 inch border. You're fine with that. So I want to come in and I'm just going to spread out that gesso just a bit. I can continue to add a little bit of texture. Alright guys, now we have gessoed our canvas. So once again, you want to clean your brush. And you want to put this to the side and let it dry. So in the next clip, I'm going to talk about priming or toning or imprematuring your stonehenge paper that's already gessoed. So when you hear prime, tone, impremature, it just means getting rid of the white. We want to have a value 5 on our paper or our canvas, because that will allow us to mix our colors properly, because when you have a white surface and you begin to mix your values, anything that's dark, either a dark gray or black, is going to be very, very dark, and it's gonna have an optical illusion that tends to happen, or a simultaneous contrast that tends to happen, that may make your values read darker than what they should be. So we're gonna, once this is dry, we're gonna tone it with our acrylic paints, and we're gonna let that dry as well, and I will see you guys in the next clip. Alright everyone, so I allowed my canvas to dry. Now that it's completely dry, I want to tone my canvas a value 5. So what I mean by value 5, you're going to take your white acrylic paint and your black acrylic paint, and you're going to mix 50% white and 50% black. That's going to give you a value 5. So what I mean by that is, I'm trying to wet my brush real quick and get that prepared, is you're going to take, here's my palette, you're going to take your white, and you're also going to take your black. You're going to mix them about 50%. Once you mix them 50%, that's going to give you your value 5. So my value 5 is actually here. Excuse my palette. I did a demo a couple of days ago, and this is just wet paint that's left over from my demo. So you want to make sure that you get that value 5. So it's about, it could be the color. I have a gray palette. It's about the color of the palette, probably a little bit darker. But that is the color that you want to get. So I'm going to take my brush and my value 5 that I already have. And this is my acrylic paint. And I want to tone my canvas. So I'm coming in and I'm toning it. So remember, with this tone, we want to get rid of that white paper, the white canvas, not the paper. So I'm just coming in, getting this tone in. Alright, you guys, so I have my canvas, my panel canvas. I have it gesso, and I also have it primed a value 5. So remember, it can, if you hear me say prime it a value 5, tone your canvas a value 5, or imprimatur gray value 5, it's all the same thing. It's all the same vocabulary. But what I mean by this is just get rid of that white, so that way it's easier for us to gauge. So as you can see, even earlier I had a gray palette as well as my canvas is gray, and they're both about a value 5. That's there because I want to be able to mix and gauge my values as accurate as I possibly can. So I will see you guys in the next clip. Hopefully this helps. Bye, guys.